It has been a fortnight to forget for many Nigerians in the wake of a heightened state of terror being unleashed on the nation by non-state actors and very hard to explain explosion in Ibadan. Well, Dr. Dickson Osajie is a security expert, and he joins us now to have a conversation, especially regarding how the security agencies can regain the upper hand from the miscreants and what the citizens must always look out for in the conduct of their daily business. It's a pleasure to have you on a news day, Mr. Dickson. And, it's like I said in my intro, it's been a fortnight of very unpleasant experiences.
Back to back.
But let's start from something a little bit good. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, on Wednesday inaugurated the Special Intervention Squad, made up of well-trained, highly capable mobile police officers. And in that time, they have since rescued, I don't know if you saw the interview with the father of the kidnapped girls. Unfortunately, he lost one of his daughters, but the rest of his daughters were brought back home safely. And yesterday at the FCT, we saw the police officers basically parade these kidnappers that were taken from Abuja and even some parts of Kaduna. We know that the president had an emergency meeting with the head of security apparatus in the country. Okay. What should be the focus? We've seen this with the SIS. Should we see a replication of that in more states? And what other steps should the presidency be looking at to ensure that the Nigerian people are safe and secure?
Fantastic question. I'm really impressed with the innovation of the IGP, a Special Intervention Squad. That tells you that the era of ransom is going to wipe away very soon. The whole essence of ransom is that when security measures fail, response mechanism fails, that is when ransom comes to play. And that's why most advanced countries of the world, they hardly pay ransom, because they have a formidable security team that will go into the enemy's den, pick out their citizens and eliminate the threats. So the IGP just did what is expected of him, and really impressed, and I appreciate him for that. But beyond training, they need to start looking at their own rules of engagement. They shouldn't mismanage that squad. When IRT came into existence, the then IGP, Sir Solomon Arase, established IRT, and they were doing a lot of work for the Nigerian state. So I will advise the SIS team to concentrate on hostage taking only. Not any other persons in the territorial space of Nigeria should send a petition, family issues, or somebody is taking my money or whatever. They should concentrate on that. And training is very important, crisis management training. One of the major problems we have in Nigeria is crisis management, and that is why each time a crisis incident occurs, it tends to escalate. Nigeria is becoming a criminogenic nation in the sense that every day you hear bad news about criminal activities, crime rate, and everything. And in a crime scene, what you need to do is to condone that environment when you get to a crime scene. So let's assume Nigeria is a crime scene now. The intervention by the IGP in establishing this SIS team is a welcome development, and they will be able to contend with these guys. And these guys will know there is fire on the mountain.
All right, Dickson. In retrospect, this is not the first time we have such special units being set up, to intervene when it comes to some really crisis situations. And of course, with every IGP, you will also want to have, something to a legacy to fall on, as it were. But I've often asked this question many times: are we making optimal use of intelligence gathering? To curb banditry and other crimes? Can we align with the whistleblower initiative? Okay? Are citizens encouraged to give information without bias? Okay? So what are the narratives here?
The question you're asking is disturbing, and it's a very fantastic question in the sense that, information, no country survives without intelligence. Intelligence is the bedrock of every nation, and the whole essence of intelligence is getting something new about the enemy. You go into the enemy's camp, get information about their plan, and, neutralize that plan. But there's what we call counterintelligence as well. This enemy also gets intelligence from the Nigerian state. Now, an incident transpired some time ago in the northeast. Boko Haram went to a particular locality, eliminated everybody within that locality, and claims that they were passing information to the security agency. Of recent, something like that happened. So what do we do? Then we need to fall back to the security agent and check within, assess themselves. Who is the bad eggs amongst you guys that is going back to this criminal element and telling them this, where you got your information? information. The police have been trying so well to rebrand their image. The police is your friend. The police is your friend. Why? Because the image of the police has been brutalized for so long due to the ill activities of some bad officers and men. Oh yes, the Nigerian police have done so well, fantastically well for the Nigerian state. But those bad elements must be fetched out. In the DSS, they must be fetched out. In the military, they must be fetched out. If you don't fetch them out, this fight would take so long, because these people that are supposed to give you information, if they don't have confidence in the Nigerian security agents, nobody want to put his life at risk. So intelligence management is very important. Then you need to understand that this criminal has evolved beyond use of phones, whatever the case may be. And that's why we need to start looking at Telegram. Telegram is one of the risk factors to any given nation, because this is the platform most of these criminals use in communicating. They don't want to send email. They don't want to call because they know the security agent are monitoring them. Now, when Osama bin Laden was arrested, his network was cracked. What happened? He doesn't send mail to his soldiers. He will put the mail in his what's it called, a draft. For example, you want to send a mail and you post that mail and say, oh, you fall back to the mail later. You know you can access the mail anywhere in your draft. So when he puts that mail, he won't send it. His compatriots will use his password and access the mail and fetch it from the draft. So security is beyond what you see. These criminal elements, they go beyond board to ensure that they beat your own security plan. So this intelligence is going to be a very one. As has been established, we have the DIA, the NIA, we have other security agents. We also have the DSS, and I think this is the right time the DSS should also come on board and establish a special security team that will go after this criminal element, break into their dark network, because they operate from the dark network. Go in there and ensure that these guys does not find the Nigerian space governable for them, because we can't continue to be in shame, because sometimes I feel shy or feel shame for my country, Nigeria, because every day is sad news, every day bad news. And friends from abroad will be scared to do business with you because they think that your country is a criminogenic nation. So we will get it right, and I am proud that, I'm so happy that we have some policies being rolled out by this administration, because every country that want to succeed or excel must have an effective policies. We need to be looking at welfare policies as well, societal policy, because what we are going through in Nigeria here is societal threats, and we need to eliminate that threat, because anything that poses threat to human life, the rule of engagement says eliminate it. You don't need to substitute it, you don't need to replace it, because we are talking about human lives here.
I'm very glad you brought up intelligence, Nii, and that brings me to my next question. You spoke about the operations from the dark web, which in itself is very hard to crack into, because that's the part of the internet that people try to, keep away from the light. But let's talk about something that is in our forefront, which is the Nigerian Communications Act. And I posed this question to Dr. Kabir Adamu, who is another security expert. Now, operators in the telecommunications space are required to install equipment with interception capability that allows law enforcement agencies on occurrences of any public emergency or interest of public safety to access communication data. SIM card ownership for these lines is tracked under the 2011 regulation, mandating the collection of personal information, including fingerprints, photos, recordings of calls, and the police can access it without a warrant.
Yes.
As long as they have a senior officer in charge that's giving approval. So it makes me wonder, especially when we look at these cases of kidnapping, where they say the kidnapper called, we see, even if it's a private call, whatever it is, there's this technology that is already out there to be able to track GPS, to be able to record those calls, to be able to access where these kidnappers are. Yeah. Why are we not making use of that at the moment?
Excellent question. You see, when it comes to security, 3 processes is applied. The human factor, the technological factor, and the processes. That is the people, the technology, and the process. Now, we've just talked about the SRS. That is the people measures. That is the human factor. The technological factor is one of the major roles. Why technology was introduced into the battlefield is to reduce the loss of life, the loss of life, the loss of man. Because most times you need to send a soldier or an officer to go to the enemy's den to go and carry out surveillance activities, and maybe on this way come across ambush or attack, that person is gone. So technology was introduced to, replace the life of man. Now, coming back to your question, you see, when Abakari was in power, was in charge of IRT. He did a lot of a fantastic job. Even when IRT was introduced newly in Lagos, the former state commissioner of police then did a great job picking in guys right from Benin Republic. They were picking kidnappers from Benin Republic, bringing them to Nigeria to come and face the music. So for me, I will advise the Nigerian government to build a formidable command control center and ensure that the Nigerian police and the Nigerian security agents are solely in control of it. The national communication agencies know so well that if security is not checked, they cannot succeed in their business. And why most people are leaving some part of this country is because of insecurity. So they should know that it's for their own favor and for their own advantage. Then most of these kidnappers, I will tell you that what they do is that they use the victim's phone to reach out to the family. And it is very easy. If someone uses his phone to reach out to the family, then the police should be able to crack in that phone and endeavor to know where that phone, where that communication, where that signal is coming from. For example, if you want to track my number now, you will discover that I make 1 or 2 calls from Arise TV station, then you can track me through the GPS and pick me up. So a lot needs to be done, because if we don't put most of these things in check, I'm telling you, it's going to be a very, very devastating issue, because crime flourish when criminals are not checked. Crime flourish when people are not punished. Crime flourish when you are vulnerable, because your vulnerability is the criminal's opportunity. And that is why what you need to do as an individual, as a state, you cut off the vulnerability, so that they cut off the criminal's opportunity by building up an effective security measures. So cut off your vulnerability so that the criminal will not have the opportunity to strike. So what we need to do now, the communication aspect, we need to cut off the criminal's vulnerability. And I tell you, they will not find it easy to pick any Nigeria, except maybe they go to the bushes where we don't have network, because there are some towns in Nigeria you can't find network, and those people are living in a vulnerable state.
I would also like to add that when it comes to cold case scenarios abroad, we all individuals, as long as you have this phone, you're leaving an electronic footprint wherever you go. It's just a matter It's just a matter of tracing the control towers for each telecom. We all leave this, and cases have been cracked, have been solved on account of just this forensic auditing on the phone alone. So my question now is, let's talk about the use of drones.
Drones, fantastic.
Yes, we've seen how the Ukrainians have been so proactive, and when it comes to combating the Russians, and even to a large extent arming these drones and dropping bombs on tanks and what have you. But in terms of surveillance, when it comes to issues like Sambisa Forest, and you hear cases like, okay, fine, the army has gone in today, and tomorrow you still find elements of Boko Haram still in that same region. So what's going on there? Why can't we make extensive use of reconnaissance?
Great question.
Briefly, please.
When it comes to counterterrorism, the whole essence is for you to take, hold, and rebuild. The military goes there, take over this territory from the criminal elements. The police come and hold this territory. The military go ahead, take from the criminal element. The police come and hold. Then you rebuild that territory. But what we do in this instance, we go to this zone, we take this criminal element out, and we fall back home. That is why they still come back and decide, oh, they've gone. So I think we will get things right, having the right policies in place, and we need to also support our government to ensure the political will as well is very paramount, because I think one of the reasons why crime has been flourishing is because of lack of political will. Then our politicians also are one of the major problems in this country, and I stand to be corrected, because there are proof everywhere that when election comes, they tend to patronize these talks. When you patronize these talks, at the end of the day, you go back to Abuja, then you leave them vulnerable and they become a threat to the Nigerian state. Politicians must stop patronizing talks while vying for office posts. They must lead by example if they truly love this country, Nigeria.
Very good. On that note, Dr. Dickson,
very informative. Dickson Osajie, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, security expert, I'd like to thank you for your thoughts on tackling insecurity in Nigeria. It's always good to have you with us.